It's time for high school basketball game night. Now here's your play-by-play announcers for tonight's game.
Convocation Center here at Northview High School. Big time matchup tonight. City rivals will square off in a Class 6A Region 3 matchup. Dothan High and Northview. Kim Allen coming to you alongside with Mitt Kirkland. And Mitt saw a fantastic girls game that came down to the wire before Dothan High won 47-41. Now we get a boys game that might be even better.
I tell you what, I don't expect anything any different in this game, but the outcome may be different, because these two teams, they really go at it when they get on the court. And over the last few years, Dothan High's had an edge. But Northview comes back this year. They had young players last year, and they come back with a lot more experience. And, Xavier Gibson, and he was very young last year, along with Michael Abbott. So I expect their big men, I expect to see them very strong under the basket.
Well, I think that's definitely the matchup to watch is Northview's position in the post. Xavier Gibson and Michael Abbott are big factors in this game, but Xavier Gibson has been forced to the bench with foul trouble their last few games. They got in a nail-biter against Enterprise in their last matchup and had to win in overtime over the rival Wildcats over in Coffee County. So if Gibson gets in trouble, it can make things tough on Northview. For Dothan High, their experience comes at the point guard position and four-year starter Julius Harper.
Julius Harper started as in the Holiday Classic 4 years ago is when he moved up from junior varsity to varsity, and he's been a starter ever since. So Harper is that experienced point guard. He's got to take that leadership role on this Dothan High team if they're going to win this game.
And Harper is certainly a guy who, when you look at Julius Harper, they kind of go as he goes. If he gets hot from the outside and is able then to use the three-point fake to penetrate, their offense can be very potent. When he struggles from the outside, this team is going to struggle as well. They do return another starter from last year's club, and that is Lorenzo Thomas, number 30, kind of a 6'3", 6'4" swing man who can be a factor on the outside for them as well.
That's a good point, Ken, because Lorenzo Thomas wasn't a starter at the beginning of last year, but he worked his way up into that position, and he did a really outstanding game. He's very strong down low for the Tigers, and I think he's going to have to play real aggressive tonight to counter the attack of Gibson and Abbott.
Of course, when you look at the Dothan High bench, the thing you notice most is the man who's not there. After a ton of years at the helm, Jim Golden retired at the end of last season. Terry Goodson moving over from GW Long. He became an assistant here a few years ago, now the head coach at Dothan High. So it will be interesting to see as we watch this game unfold how Dothan High's style is different from what we saw Coach Golden do for all those years.
Yes, and Dothan High lost a lot of starters last year. They lost two big starters, Fred Foster
and Carlos
Frazier. They lost both of them last year. So they are having to rebuild down low because Foster and Frazier were very strong down in the paint.
And when you look at Northview, years and years of experience on the bench with Floyd Griffin. I talked to Coach Griffin before the game. He said he was nervous about two things. Dothan High's athletic ability. He was very worried about how Dothan High could be very athletic and get out in transition. He was also worried about what happened once you get beyond Northview's starting five. He said his guys on the bench certainly willing to go in and play, but very inexperienced and prone to make mistakes because they try and do too much. So staying in control going to be very big for Northview, and staying out of foul trouble. The longer their starters are on the floor, the better it is for them tonight.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, one other thing you got to look at on this Northview team is number 10, Justin Johnson. He was a factor with this Northview team last year. And, this year he's gained more experience, and you can look for him to be a factor in this game also.
And, of course, Northview fans remember Justin Johnson from the football field, where he had a phenomenal season in the Cougar spread passing attack, caught 3 touchdowns in their first game of the year, a win over Bainbridge, Georgia, and went on to have a great year, as did Northview, who won 4 games this year and had a fantastic season. They're off to a great start on the basketball court at 5-1 with a 2-1 record in the region. And so they look tonight to pick up a 3rd region win and a big victory over their biggest rival.
Yes, this is a big rivalry. I tell you what, over the years, I have seen this basketball rivalry seem to be equal in the football rivalry because, you know, Kim, you've been at these games, and the turnout is always good, and the excitement in these games, they always go down to the wire. I can remember a couple of years ago when Kenton James was playing for Northview. He hit a three-pointer at the buzzer to force the game into overtime.
That was a fantastic ball game.
It was, and so those are the kind of things you can expect when these two teams meet on the basketball court.
Well, there have been some great games. I started here in the year 2000, and when I came, Northview had a little bit of an advantage in this rivalry with Miles Simon and some of the other guys they had. Miles Spann was on that team. That was a fantastic team. Then Dothan High took over with Larry Brackens, the team that went to the state championship game. Dothan got young again, and were veteran again last year and regained control. So it's been very back and forth. Unlike the football rivalry that Dothan dominated for so long, Northview and Dothan have kind of traded being the better team on the basketball court. Right now, I think you would have to say Northview's A, probably playing better, and B, a little more experienced. But Dothan High does have an X factor in Julius Harper and their athletic ability. Another guy to watch for Dothan High, Dennis Brinson. Dothan High fans might remember he was the starting quarterback on the football team 2 years ago. Now he's on the basketball team. He's starting for Dothan High, and he led them in points in a loss earlier this week. So Brinson, along with Harper and Thomas and some of those other guys, going to be looked to provide the scoring against Northview tonight.
Okay, we're getting ready for tip-off, what we expect to be a real exciting game. The crowd are on their feet here at the tip-off.
Almost a sellout tonight. It's an overflow crowd. Dothan High comes away with the rebound. Julius Harper for two, and that's how we get underway. Harper with the big bucket. Dothan High about 5 seconds in.
I tell you what,
2-0.
Harper hadn't lost a step. Quick, and there he goes again.
And now he forces a turnover. Harper dishes to Brinson, who lays it in for two, and Dothan High early with a 4-0 lead.
And Kim, we talked about his senior leadership, and he's come out in this game and made three big plays.
Harper off the window, won't go. Dothan High will go to the line, however. Harper, 2 steals to go along with 2 points of rebound, and now a chance to go to the line for 2 more.
Well, you know, we talked about, you know, Dothan being outsized by Northview, but, you know, that Harper would have to take the leadership. This is his 4th year playing varsity basketball, so experience is definitely in Dothan High's favor.
Harper's first free throw is good. 5-0. Of all the ways you could imagine this game starting, Northview looking to get the ball inside to its post players. 5-0 was definitely not it for Dothan High. I don't think anybody expected this. Harper for number 2. And he got them both. 6-zip. Full court press from the Tigers. Now they back off. 6-0. Now they go inside. It's Xavier Gibson to Justin Johnson out on the wing. And they get it back to Marcus Brown, who tries to take control of things right now. Now back to Johnson. They're trying to get the ball down to Miles Abbott. He's got it. Abbott back to Johnson, who thinks about a three-pointer. Will take a three-pointer. Doesn't go. Lorenzo Thomas with a rebound. And here comes Harper on the run. And now Harper will back it up with a 6-0 lead. A little bit of an advantage going their way. Dennis Brinson turns, fires and hits. Brinson again. 8-0 Dothan High.
I tell you what, this is a little different from what I expected, but it was all started by the aggressive play of number 10, Julius Harper.
Cougars with it now, just trying to get something going offensively. Miles Abbott with it, makes a move, takes a wild shot, won't go down. Offensive rebound coming away to Rodney Kennedy, who had a big game against Enterprise. Xavier Gibson out of control with the shot, but he gets his own rebound and puts it up and in for 2. You'll hear a lot of that man's name, Xavier Gibson.
That time Gibson used his size to get that ball up and over the Dothan Tigers.
Brinson gets it back to the top of the key for Jonah Perry, and Perry backs it out now, guarded by a bigger man out there, and Marcus Brown to the corner for Harper. Harper inside to Brinson, who hangs, cannot hit. Gibson with the block. First miss for Dothan High in an 8-2 basketball game. Cougars trying to get back in it. Dothan High came out red hot, and now a turnover. Harper with steal number 3. Behind the back dribble twice, gets it ahead to Perry, who dribble drives, hangs, and will not hit, but he'll go to the line for 2 more free throws. Dothan High comes out electric tonight.
I tell you what, the difference in this game is the aggressive defense being played by the Tigers of Dothan High. They have forced 3 turnovers here early in the game, and that's made a big difference in this game.
Perry to the line, and he rattles in the first. It's 9-2. This is a Dothan High team that struggled to get going offensively in its last game, but no problem so far as they've come out red hot. Perry made them both. It's a 10-2 advantage early.
And I tell you, the Tigers have come out and they are playing. Northview is going to have to definitely try to get their big men involved in this game. Slow the pace down, slow the tempo down to get Dothan out of this fast tempo.
3-pointer on the way, won't go. Xavier Gibson saved it, but Jonah Perry comes away with it. Now here comes Dothan High. Perry, little no-look feed inside. Wide open is Kenny Reese for the deuce.
Dothan is showing some very good passing, moving the ball, hitting open man for the basket.
Another turnover, the 5th of the basketball game against the Cougars, and here is Jonah Perry coming away with it. 4:50 to go in the first quarter, 12-2. Dothan High with the lead and the basketball. Harper to the top for Reese. And now over to Jonah Perry. Perry drives, open behind the back look to nobody, and Harper then steps out of bounds. And it will go back to Northview. And the Cougars, more than anything, man, they need to calm down a little bit. They're really off kilter, out of control early on.
And part of the reason is aggressive defense of Dothan High. They have been all over this Cougar offense. So Northview's got to settle things down and try to get some good open shots.
Marcus Brown swings it over to the wing. They try and get it inside for Abbott, and they turn it over once again.
Well, they're going to call a foul on that play.
It looks like they may finally call a foul on Dothan High here. And that one, I think going against Lorenzo Thomas is first. They get it in, jumper on the way, back iron won't go. Ball's tipped around by Gibson, and Lorenzo Thomas away with his second rebound. 12-2, Tigers with the lead in the basketball, and now they slow it down a little bit. It's Julius Harper.
The Tigers are really using their speed against this size of Northview.
Thomas for 3. Lorenzo Thomas knocks down a triple. It's 15-2. Unbelievable effort early on by Dothan High.
Northview's got to find a way to slow Dothan High down because right now Dothan High has the speed and the momentum.
Johnson for 3, not close. Ball out of bounds, goes back to Northview. But wow, what a beginning for the Tigers. Just what the doctor ordered for a team trying to find itself. A red-hot start against its biggest rival on the road.
I think Northview is just trying to make something positive happen right now. And so far in the game, they've had very few positive things to happen for them.
Marcus Brown to the top. They get it to Miles Abbott, who tries to shoot it. And now we have a whistle, and boy, I don't know about that.
Well, that was
looked like pretty good defense by Dothan High, but they're going to get a foul on Julius Harper.
So that'll be Harper's first foul, but I tell you what, they are playing extremely aggressive defense, and that's why they're on top by a score of 15-2.
Michael Abbott to the line for the first time tonight. He's going to shoot 2 here. And he makes the first. So it was 8-0, then 8-2, then 15-2. So an 8-0 run to start, a 7-0 run after that. And now Abbott trying to slow things down a little bit, and he does make them both. And now Harper brings it across. Jonah Perry with the basketball. To the top for Brinson. Brinson working against Gibson. Makes a good, strong move in the post, and it goes. 3-point play coming up.
That was a nice spin move that time by Brinson. He just used his speed to get around Gibson that time and lay the ball up, and he was fouled in the process.
17-4. Brinson for a 3-point opportunity. That foul goes against Michael Abbott, and Brinson knocks it down. And boy, they look smooth, Matt. They just look smooth right now. creating some room. Jumper on the run, won't go down. Dothan High with the rebound. That's Julius Harper. Harper pushes it the other way. Harper now backs it out. Now goes to the baseline, and they're going to say he carried the basketball and he turns it over. That's one thing in past years that Harper has struggled with. He tends to play out of control at times. They're turning it over, but still a great start for Dothan High, up by 14. And a travel, turns it back over. Marcus Brown gives it up.
I'll tell you, it's quiet on the Northview side of this gym right now because that team has just not been able to do anything on a consistent basis so far in this game.
I think if you're North, Brinson thinks about a long jump shot, passes on it, gets it out to Kenny Reese. He had Jonah Perry wide open. Instead, it's Harper who makes it. Wow, what a move to get inside. Hangs, won't go, and the rebound comes away to Marcus Brown. Harper almost made a circus shot, but instead, it's Marcus Brown away with the rebound. Long jumper on the way for Abbott. It won't go. Tipped around by Jonah Perry. He's got a 3-on-2. Perry hangs, and it will not go. Good offensive rebound by Thomas. That's blocked, and now Northview runs out the other way. Coming out is Justin Johnson. Off the window, blocked by Brinson, and in it goes.
So Johnson gets the fast break points for Northview, and they 6 points. So it's 18-6 with just over 2 minutes left in the first. Dothan High on top.
And now a foul out top on Marcus Brown. So it is 18-6 with 2 minutes to go in the first quarter.
One thing I've noticed, Kim, is Dothan High is out rebounding Northview.
Well, yeah, Northview's been one and done a number of times if they even get a shot away. The turnover is also alarming if you're a Cougar fan.
They've really got to do a better job of positioning themselves.
Harper wide open, in and out, wouldn't go, and the rebound comes away to Abbott. And boy, this place would have gone crazy had that gone for Harper. Laser shot for Xavier Gibson down low, but Johnson a little too strong on the pass. In fact, that was Rodney Kennedy who had a little too much on that zip pass, and he goes out of bounds. Another turnover. That's about 7 or 8 times they've turned the ball over in the quarter. Alarming.
Northview's not doing a very good job of passing the ball around and giving their offense, setting the offense up, and therefore is giving Dothan High fast break opportunities.
Harper with it, trying to set up the offense. Great backdoor look to Thomas, who is going to be fouled. And wow, what a pass right into the middle of that Northview zone. They cannot finish, but Thomas will get to the line for 2. And the foul goes against, oh boy, this is going to sting bad for Northview. Michael Abbott, his second. And what Floyd Griffin feared the most, having to go to the bench. Free throw is good. They are 7 of 7 from the line right now. That's a fantastic effort early. Austin Hafner will check into the game, and Abbott with 2 fouls early. He's got one of their only 2 field goals in this game, I believe. No, he has free throws. 19-6, Dothan High with the lead. Thomas with it. Made them both. 8 of 8 from the line. 20-6 they lead. Jarrell Thomas will check in. Lorenzo Thomas will check out.
So a Thomas for a Thomas.
And Julius Harper and Dennis Brinson also out as well. Backups in for Dothan High. Let's see if Northview can take advantage, find Xavier Gibson, and get the crowd back in it. Gibson gives it up. They're trying a kind of a double screen up at the top. Double teaming Thomas, or Gibson rather, down. And now we have a push down low. And Xavier Gibson forcing a foul on somebody.
You know, so far it looks like the Northview team is just a little rattled right now on the offensive end of the court because Dothan High has played so aggressive defense that it's rattled this Northview offense.
Long pass out to the top, 3-pointer on the way. That'd be a big shot, and it misses everything. And Dothan High comes away with oh boy, Xavier Gibson.
That's going to be Gibson's second foul. So both big men have 2. No, that was his first foul. Okay.
Gibson picks up his first, and it kind of a tough foul. It's a hustle play. They're both going after a loose ball, and it goes against Gibson. So Dothan High almost strictly with its backups right now. Only Jonah Perry from the starting lineup is in this game. Up 20-6. You can get your backups in early. And it looks like Dothan High might consider playing for one shot here at the end of the quarter. Northview trying to close the distance here. They as well, much like the Northview girls in that 2-3 matchup zone. Rashad Bryant gives it up now. And Jonah Perry with 32 seconds. They're playing for one, no question about it now. Jarrell Thomas. Trent Richmond. And then back to Bryant. Letting the clock run in Northview, inclined to let them do it. Down 20-6 are the Cougars at home. And Jonah Perry with it now. The only starter in the game, 12 seconds to go in the quarter. And a long three-pointer on the way. Back iron will go. Ball's tipped around. Offensive rebound for Dothan High. And we have a foul down low on Austin Hafner. So Bryant took the long three. It wouldn't go. But a good effort by Jarrell Thomas to grab the offensive rebound. And now with just 4 seconds to go. That actually is a 1-and-1. Already 7 fouls on Northview. So a chance for Jarrell Thomas here to add to a stunning 14-point Dothan High lead.
Well, that will put the Tigers in the bonus for the remainder of the first half.
It won't go. Northview trying for a breakout, but Jonah Perry with the steal. Ball goes out of bounds, but it does not matter. A stunner so far at Northview. Dothan 20, Northview 6. We'll be back in just a moment. Back at Northview, and the Cougars looking for something, in fact, anything to go their way after a nightmare first quarter against their biggest rival. Dothan High leads at 20-6 as we start the second quarter.
I tell you what, Dothan High went up to a 15-2 lead with 3:43 left in the first, and they have not looked back.
Top of the key, and it's Rodney Kennedy who gets it back, and they are just fronting Xavier Gibson. He has not touched the basketball in an offensive position yet, and we're more than 8 minutes into this game. Now Gibson will take a free throw line jump shot. Nice play by Gibson, and he knocks it down. His first bucket. His second bucket of the game, rather. He has half of their points, and with 7:28 to go here in the second quarter, it's 20-8. Dothan High in the lead. Northview down, but certainly not out of this game if they can start to make some plays. But then that happens. Dennis Brinson, who has been red hot, he's 4 or 5 from the floor, and it's 22-8 as he answers the other way.
Brinson has 9 points already in the game.
Look what I found, says Austin Hafner. They went for Xavier Gibson. It was tipped away, went right to Hafner, and he lays it in. 22-10, Dothan High by 12. Little run and gun, give and go play, and Rashad Bryant could not handle the return look. And now they're going to say it went back to Dothan High. They're going to say Northview tipped it at the end. And Floyd Griffin not happy about that call.
The officials are discussing it. Let's see. Yeah, it's still Dothan High's ball.
It's going to stay with Dothan High. Looked like 2 or 3 people maybe got a hand on that on the way by. Rashad Bryant will run the point right now for Dothan High. Bryant looking to break down his man, then gives it up. Oh, boy, he had Brinson flashing and then got it to him late. Northview forces a turnover. Dothan High gets it back. Lorenzo Thomas off the window, won't go. Brinson misses, and then Xavier Gibson comes down with the board, and he is fouled by Trent Richmond.
But one thing I saw on that play, outstanding hustle by number 30, Lorenzo Thomas.
Thomas and Brinson both had point-blank looks and missed, but Dothan High just around the basket every time. So Northview down by 12. They do have the ball. Justin Johnson with it. Try and run a little double screen for Gibson out there. Three-pointer on the way. They need something to go their way. And finally they get it from Rodney Kennedy, who knocks down the three-pointer. And it's 22-13. Dothan High in the lead, and the Tigers take a 30 to talk things over.
That was a big three-pointer that time by Kennedy for Northview. They needed that. They needed a spark, and that could be the spark to get the Cougars on track tonight.
First three-pointer they've made on the night, and they've taken a number already. Most of their looks have come from beyond the arc so far, which for a team that has Xavier Gibson and Michael Abbott is a bit surprising. Gibson does lead the way with 4 points. Kennedy with 3. 2 for Abbott, who is on the bench with 2 fouls. So and 2 points for Justin Johnson as well for Northview so far.
Right now, Northview's on a 7-2 run. End of the first period, the score was 20-6, and they've run off 7 points, and Dothan High's managed to score only 2. So they've come out this second quarter, and they're playing a lot more aggressive and spreading the ball around, and they've made some big baskets here in the second period.
So Rashad Bryant remains at the point as Dothan High working some of its backups here. Dennis Brinson with it, who's had a big game so far, and it's Julius Harper now, and Harper can kill you when he breaks you down. Thinks about it, almost loses his balance, gets it away to Bryant, and now Bryant puts up a wild shot that won't go, gets his own rebound fouled, and will go to the line for two as Hafner picks up his second foul. But boy, of all the guys you would expect to be in there offensive rebounding, Rashad Bryant is probably the last one, and he makes a big play.
But that was a great effort that time by Bryant. He missed, but he kept after it and hustled, and he was fouled, so he's at the line now.
So Bryant to the line for a couple, and he makes the first. And already the free throw line is one of the biggest differences in the basketball game, Matt. You look at this, only 2 attempts for Northview, although they made them both, and Dothan High already a ton of trips to the line. They missed the second, and Gibson comes away with the rebound. And Northview going to push. And Rodney Kennedy misses. Gibson almost followed with the dunk, but then just pulls down the board and takes the bucket. So it's 23-15. And they're back within 8. A slow process, but they're chipping away.
That was a great follow-up that time by Gibson, putting the ball back up and in, and he cut that lead. It's an 8-point lead.
And now Gibson with the block of the Lorenzo Thomas shot. And it's 23-15, Dothan High. Jonah Perry and Bryant out.
So Northview is starting now to exert that size advantage on the Dothan Tigers.
Well, Gibson is the X factor. He is the difference maker for this basketball team. Brinson with it. Boy, they left Julius Harper all alone for 3, and you just can't make that mistake.
So Harper answers Gibson with a big three-pointer.
And I mean, Harper was all alone. Johnson thought about getting it into Gibson, could not. Hafner calling for the ball on the cross court. Johnson thought about 3. Does go cross court. Northview has it now. Jumper on the way. Back iron won't go. It's tipped around, and Thomas with a rebound. Perry trying to get it ahead to Brinson, who cannot hang on. Turnover, Dothan High goes back to Northview.
That time Dothan tried to catch Northview sleeping on the fast break, but Northview did a good job of getting back on defense. The ball out of bounds off the Tigers, and it goes back to the Cougars.
There is an electric feel in this gym right now. If a big play were made on either side, this place might blow apart. You can just feel it. Northview almost turns it over, and now Johnson has the basketball. Gets it into Brown. Gibson, little reverse look, can't go. Loose ball comes away to Lorenzo Thomas, who's been a monster on the board so far. Wing 3 for Harper. Won't go. Thomas battles for the rebound. Can't get it. Now Northview out on the break. And Kennedy nearly loses it. Then does. Harper his 5th steal. Out ahead. Thomas could be showtime. And instead might be an intentional foul. And it is. And now some words exchanged between Jonah Perry and Marcus Brown. And down on the deck is Lorenzo Thomas. Undercut. An intentional foul has been called, and Lorenzo Thomas is hurt.
Thomas came down pretty hard. He was open. And
Marcus Brown.
That foul is on Brown. He took his legs from under him. And,
no question it was intentional.
Thomas came down really hard, and he's still down. Real hard foul that time. And they're with him. He has not moved very much since he went down.
Probably telling him to keep still right now. I see his feet moving a little bit. That's a good sign. 4:22 to go here in the second quarter, and it's Dothan High with a 26-15 lead.
Kim, I can remember years ago when I was playing basketball when I was a senior, I had the same thing that happened to me, but I was a little more fortunate. I was able to get right back up. But Thomas seemed to be shaken up pretty bad there.
He went down hard. There's no question about it. Off of a Northview turnover, they got the ball ahead to Lorenzo Thomas. It looked like he was going to go in for the dunk, and at the last moment, Marcus Brown came in and took out his legs.
Yeah, so...
And Lorenzo Thomas sits up and gets a big response from both sides here. As intense a rivalry as this is, you never want to see this. And Thomas is up. I see the guys from Southern Bone and Joint were here. It's a good thing because that's right where you want him to be, down there helping this young man. He's walking off.
Right.
And probably the next whistle, he'll be back in. That's the kind of kid Lorenzo Thomas is. He walks off, gets a big ovation from the crowd and high fives from his teammates. His team is up 11, and they'll shoot 2 free throws plus the ball when we resume play.
Yeah, well, one thing I saw there, the Northview fans cheered too when he got up because, that could have resulted in a very serious injury. You don't like to see those kind of things happen out on the basketball court.
That's one thing. When you take that kind of a fall on the football field, at least it's grass. There's some give. There's no give on the hardwood.
So one thing that's done is got the crowd back in this game. We're over on the Dothan High side, and we're having a hard time hearing ourselves talk.
So Rashad Bryant will go to the line for a couple of free throws, and then they'll get the ball after that.
There's 4:22 left in the second period. Dothan High's leading by 11, 26-15, and they've led the entire game. They took a 6-0 lead initially, and they ran the score up to 15-2.
It was 8-0, then 15-2, then 20-6. Since that point, it's been an 11-6 turnaround. Northview's back in the game.
Yeah, at the end of the first period, the score was 20 for Dothan High and 6 for Northview. So they've outscored Dothan High 9-6 so far in the period.
And the officials have called both teams over and given both a warning, no retaliation. If you see somebody retaliate, they're probably going to get ejected from the basketball game in a hurry.
And you know what? One thing I've said in the past, these teams compete, but they've always played very clean. There's never been any violence or intentional plays like that. Over the years I've covered these games, I've never seen anything like that.
So Brian makes them both, and I believe they're going to get 2 more on the shot that was missed. I believe they should get 2 more free throws here on the shot that was missed, unless I'm mistaken. Bryant made them both, making it 28-15. And I think that's what they're talking about now. Thomas was fouled on the act of shooting. They called it an intentional foul. I believe you get 2 shots on the intentional foul and 2 for the shot, and that's exactly what we're going to get right now.
Okay, I think no, they'll maintain possession.
And this is right now what Terry Goodson is arguing to the officials, is that we should get 2 more free throws.
They're discussing it. We'll see what happens here.
And now the officials are talking about it, and it looks like they will give Rashad Bryant a couple more. See Lorenzo Thomas down on the bench. He's getting a drink of water. He looks to be okay.
Thomas had played an outstanding game so far tonight. He's one of the returning starters from last year, and he's a leader of this team. He and Julius Harper are the leaders of this team, and he's up, and that will encourage his players. Hey, you take a hit, you get up, and you keep going.
And they are not going to give free throws to Dothan High, as it turns out. So Bryant comes out of the game, and Jarrell Thomas comes back, and Dothan High goes to work. Tigers trying to inbound it. They get it to Dennis Brinson, now to Julius Harper. Harper tries to make a move. Oh, what a move that was! And he made the shot! Harper, a little show and go for the deuce.
Outstanding move that time by Harper. He caught the big man in the air, and he let go, and nothing but basket. Nothing but net.
Abbott in trouble in the corner, and then he turns it over. Now it's Harper. He's got Gibson trailing, and then he gets him up in the air and scores again. And the rout is back on here at Northview High School. And they're going to take a timeout and try and shut it down. But Julius Harper, 7 steals in the first half alone. 32-15, Dothan High in a runaway right now.
We've seen Julius Harper play like this so many times in the past. And he came out tonight playing very aggressive, stealing the ball on 2 of the first 3 possessions of the game and making points. So Harper is showing his senior leadership qualities. Like we said, this guy started playing on the varsity during the holiday tournament when he was in the 9th grade. He could play at that level when he was in the 9th grade.
the cupboard was certainly not bare for Terry Goodson when he took over this program. He had Thomas, he had Harper. He's had some guys come out, including Dennis Brinson, who's been really big for this team in the first half. But it has been Harper who has set the tone, a suffocating half-court defense that has taken Xavier Gibson completely out of the basketball game. Northview thinking about a three. Now they will take one from Rodney Kennedy. It won't go. Walter Cummings had the basketball, lost it. Dothan I battling for it, and we're going to have a jump ball called, and it will go to Northview.
You know, it goes to Dothan. What I like about that, both teams were down on that floor hustling for that ball, and that's what you want to see. Your coaches like to see that from their players.
And a good sign here, Lorenzo Thomas back in the basketball game after that big spill a few moments ago, and he is back now. Jonah Perry with it. Perry picked up his dribble, had to get it to Harper. Harper slices. Circa shot almost went, but then Gibson comes away with the rebound. That was almost another fantastic play from Harper. His misses have been fantastic. Walter Cummings dished it inside, and now we have a foul whistled. This might be on Dennis Brinson. Nope, instead, it's going to go on Janae Perry. That is the fifth on the team, and so it will go under the basket. Abbott slaps the ball, gets it in motion. And it's Xavier Gibson with it. Kicks it to the corner, and Northview will reset the offense. 3 minutes to go. Long three-pointer on the way, not even close. Abbott battles for the rebound. Out to Kennedy, who will reset. Now to Abbott. Abbott trying to make a dribble move, and he is held down on the baseline by Lorenzo Thomas. That's number 2 on Thomas.
That's something we didn't see from Northview in the first period. The second shots, getting rebounds. That time, Abbott got the rebound, and that's what it's going to take for Northview. They're going to have to get second and third attempts if they're going to fight their way back into this game, if they have a chance of winning this game.
So Abbott, or rather Justin Johnson trying to key it in. Gets it to Kennedy. And it's Gibson down low, and he has a block from behind by Brinson, but a foul called on Brinson, and Xavier Gibson will go to the line for a couple of free throws.
That was a great effort by Brinson that time. He came over the back, and they call him for a foul. Came over the back of Gibson.
So Xavier Gibson to the line for 2. He has 6 points to lead the way for Northview so far. And he misses the first. Checking in for Dothan High is Trent Richmond, and out is Dennis Brinson. Second one on the way, and he missed that one as well. But look at Justin Johnson. Get the rebound. He goes up. He is fouled. He goes to the line for 2. And if that's on Lorenzo Thomas, that's number 3.
That foul is on number 30, Thomas.
That's number 3 on Lorenzo Thomas, who has been a big factor on the glass in this game. Johnson for a couple of free throws, and he misses the first. Oh, my. Brinson back, Thomas out. And we won't see Lorenzo Thomas again this half. 2:45 to go in the second quarter, 32-15. Dothan High leading Northview here at Northview. Johnson finally rattles one home. And Dothan High trying to break the press. They do. Reverse layup on the way in. Good for Jarrell Thomas.
I tell you, that time they caught Northview sleeping. As soon as they made that free throw, Dothan High was on the fast break with points.
Cummings gets it out to the wing. Johnson gives it up. Abbott baseline jumper now. Back iron won't go. Abbott battling for his own rebound. It's tipped out of bounds and will stay with Northview.
That time the ball was off of Harper, and it stays with Northview. Taking out for the Cougars.
Abbott playing in a dangerous situation with 2 fouls already, but they just don't have a lot of options. Checking in will be Tyree Tucker, and coming out of the game will be Richmond. And you've seen Abbott, since he's come back in, be very active, especially with the rebounds.
And that's what it's going to take.
They get it to the corner for Rodney Kennedy. Justin Johnson for 3. It's a little long. Going up for the rebound is Abbott. He has a shot rejected by Brinson. And now here comes Julius Harper.
You know, the thing we've seen, Kim, even though Dothan High's outsized. Their speed and athletic ability have allowed them to block a couple of the big guys' shots.
Brinson trying to slow things down a little bit right now with his team up a bunch, 34-16. Brinson guarded beyond the top of the key by Gibson, who needs to be careful he doesn't pick up a second foul. Almost a turnover by Jonah Perry, but he comes away with it now. Perry turns the corner, goes in amongst the big men. Off the window and in for two. Janae Perry with a big bucket. 36-16, Dothan High by 20.
That was a really nice move that time by Perry, taking it to the glass.
Abbott drives, trying to use the window. Wow, athletic move, but it won't go down. Ball's tipped around. Still loose, and Rodney Kennedy trying to come away with it. And Northview finally does, and we have a foul on Janae Perry on the floor as they were grabbing Kennedy pretty good. Almost an unbelievable putback by Walter Cummings.
That really was an outstanding effort that time.
And now Kennedy to the line for a 1-and-1. On Janae Perry, that's number 2. Brinson back out. Richmond is in. Jarrell Thomas back in as well. I'm sorry, Rashad Bryant checking in to replace Perry. Kennedy misses, but there's Abbott again. Has a shot blocked from behind. It's loose, and here comes Bryant to Dothan High. He has Harper on the wing. Kicks it out to him, nearly lost control. Now Bryant will take a long three. No, not on the money. Abbott, and now here comes Northview. They've got Gibson out. Alley-oop would not go. Gibson misses the shot. Harper out ahead. Frenetic pace. Dothan High with the basketball. Bryant at the top, and they'll slow it down. Less than a minute to go. Bryant turns the corner, turns it over. Here comes Kennedy. Kennedy out of control, rolls it up and in for two. No whistle on a charge. And the crowd doesn't like it one bit. 30 seconds to go, 36-18. Dothan High doubling up Northview right now.
Yes, Dothan still has the momentum going.
And it looks like we're going to have an offensive foul called against Tyree Tucker. It's a player control foul, so no free throws.
I'll tell you.
Actually, they are going to give him 2 shots for this.
One while Northview seems to have gotten the momentum, but now it's back on the Dothan High side.
So no free throws coming up here. Dothan High will have the basketball. It has been almost complete domination by Dothan High in this basketball game. They have been superb in the first half. Everything going their way. Kennedy for 3. Off the mark, won't go, tipped around. Bryant on the run. Really good looking, and the ball's tipped away, but coming away is Richmond. Inside, tipped away again. And it will stay with Dothan High. But again, a frenetic pace developing here at the end of the second quarter. And they just ran a second off the clock for no apparent reason. 36-18, Dothan High with the basketball. And they turn it over on the inbounds play. They say he moved his feet. A rare mistake by Dothan High. They've been almost mistake-free for the first 2 quarters of this game.
They've done a really excellent job of staying on top of things in the first half. The Tigers have. They have played very aggressive defense, which has led to offensive points.
Cummings, long 3, not there, tipped around. Gibson at the buzzer, and it will go down. And they're going to count that bucket at the buzzer. Xavier Gibson.
That was a big bucket for Northview. They needed something positive to happen before the half ended, and that time Gibson put the ball up just before the buzzer went off for the basket.
So Dothan High on the road has been convincing in a 36-20 halftime lead over rival Northview. We'll be back in just a moment. Getting ready for the start of the third quarter here at Northview High School. It has been a Dothan High runaway so far. 36-20, the Tigers lead the rival Cougars. First half storylines. Free throws, first of all, Dothan High's been to the line a bunch. They've made almost all of them. Julius Harper has been a monster in this basketball game. They have limited Xavier Gibson's touches. He has 8 points on 4 or 5 shooting, but He has not touched the ball very much offensively, and one of their starting guards for Northview, Marcus Brown, has been ejected after an intentional foul against Lorenzo Thomas.
I tell you, if you have to say one of the key things in this game was the way Dothan High started off, being very aggressive on defense and forcing some turnovers and running up to score 8-0 at the very start of the game.
And in the first quarter, when it was 15-2 and then 20-6, one of the big factors was Dennis Brinson. He had 9 points in the first half. He just picks up his second foul there, trying to defend Xavier Gibson in the post. If Northview's going to get back in it, it's going to have to be Gibson and Rodney Kennedy and Michael Abbott who take them there.
You're exactly right, and they've got to use their size to beat Dothan High School.
Don't you feel Dothan High's athletic ability has almost negated this height advantage, though? They've been so athletic. Three-pointer on the way from Johnson. Got it. A big start for Northview as Justin Johnson knocks down the three. He has 6 points on the ballgame, and it's 36-23. Tigers by 13. Kenny Reese with it. Wide open. Gibson will give him that. Brinson being defended by Michael Abbott, who is playing with 2 fouls. It's Janae Perry, who cuts inside, gets it to Lorenzo Thomas, who slashes to the basket. Has it blocked by Xavier Gibson. Thomas backs it out now. Gets it to Julius Harper, who will reset for the Tigers. But Gibson a factor defensively here early in the third.
Yes, and we've seen Northview, one of the problems I think they've had so far, they've been just getting one shot at the basket in the first half. They've got to be able to get position down low, so if they miss a shot, get second and third attempts at it. So far, they've been unsuccessful doing it.
And there's Xavier Gibson with another defensive play. Michael Abbott will take the long jumper. He's not close, but Justin Johnson's Johnny on the spot with the bucket. Gibson on the other end stepped out and forced a travel from Kenny Reese. Northview extending its defense a little bit. They're down just 11 now after a 5-0 spurt to start the third. Perry finds Reese. Abbott going to give him that all day. Brinson steps out, trying to create some room. Slashes to the basket. Good-looking play by Brinson.
That was a nice left-handed layup by Brinson that time.
38-25, Dothan High with 6:27 to go here in the third quarter. And now a turnover. Brinson takes it away, and he travels with the basketball.
You know, I've been very impressed with the play of Brinson. He wasn't on the varsity last year, and this is his first year on Dothan High's varsity, I believe. And I've been very impressed with his play.
Brinson has been a difference maker along with Julius Harper. They both have 11 points to lead Dothan High right now. Walter Cummings came into the basketball game off the bench. He has settled down Northview's offense, has looked very good running the point. And he gets it over to Johnson. Now it's Kennedy. Now they find Abbott, who goes strong to the basket, is fouled on the way there. And if that's on Kenny Reese or Dennis Brinson, it's going to be number 3 on either of them.
I think what Northview's trying to do is establish an inside game here in the second half. And hopefully by establishing the inside game, they can either get the points, force Dothan High to foul them, and go to the line and try to get some points at the line.
So Brinson picks up his third, and Michael Abbott goes to the line. He's 2 of 2 there so far. Make it 3 of 3, and he's looked very smooth at the line so far. His third point of the game. Brinson out and Trent Richmond back in. 38-26, Northview. They're not going to get it all back at once. They're going to have to chip away. Trying to take another chip out of that Dothan High lead is Abbott, who makes it again. He is 4 of 4 from the line for all 4 of his points. And now Northview puts on a little pressure. A 3-on-2 break keyed by Perry, who gets it down low to Richmond, and Gibson blocks it. Richmond gets it back. Fouled, and it goes!
But that was a great second effort by
Trent Richmond.
Number 31, Richmond. I'll tell you what, it was a great effort. First shot block, the big man didn't intimidate it. He went right back up on him, and that time he got the basket and the foul.
So Richmond, who is not known for his offensive prowess, gets a 3-point play. Nope. They're going to say there was a lane violation, so no free throw. But it's 40-27 as Trent Richmond makes an unlikely play down low. In amongst those trees that are the Northview tandem of Michael Abbott and Xavier Gibson. 13-point lead for Dothan High. Kennedy with it. He dribbles to the middle. Cuts, floats, it won't go. Gibson battling for the rebound, got it. It goes, and he's fouled, and make that Michael Abbott. Abbott with the big play.
I tell you, that's the strongest move I've seen Abbott make all night. He's got to make a lot of them to get the Cougars back in this game.
These are a pair of teams with only one loss. This figured to be a tight ball game. Dothan High made it a runaway early. The Cougars can get back within 10 if Abbott makes this. And now another lane violation. The second called by the officials, and after not seeing a lane violation called in about a year on the court, we've seen two in the last two series at the free throw line, one each way. 40-29. Northview with the trailing at this point. Dothan High with the 11-point lead. And here comes some pressure from the Cougars. Trent Richmond with it. Running out of time, Harper. And we have a 10-second call.
So that time, Dothan High was called for a 10-second violation. They were a little slow getting the ball down court. But you got to credit Northview's defense for preventing them from getting the ball down within the 10-second limit.
Johnson for three. He gets it again, and now it's an 8-point game. Big bucket for Johnson, who has 8 points in the quarter. So and now we have a whistle and a timeout taken by Dothan High. 40-32. Dothan High leads it with 5:18 to go in the third.
I tell you what, if you can look for the spark in the second half for Northview, you got to look at Justin Johnson. Justin Johnson has come out and hit 2 big threes and a 2 here in the second half.
Johnson and Michael Abbott's play as well. Abbott has been big for this basketball team as well.
So Northview is starting to chip away at their lead. They're trailing by 8. They trail by as many as 13.
They were down 20 at one point, 36-16.
Right. It was because
if you look at it in those terms, it's a 16-4 run for Northview from that point to get back in this game. And a tremendous effort.
So Northview's come out here in the second half, and they're doing exactly what they need to do to get back into this game.
Janae Perry gets the basketball and starts things back up for Dothan High. The Cougar fan base starting to make some noise over there across the way. Julius Harper with it. He's been quiet in the third after a monster first half. Perry drives, lays it in. It won't go. Abbott out ahead. He's got Johnson. Johnson lays it in. He's taken down. That's not a foul, I don't think. I'm a little surprised they called Julius Harper. It looked like he slipped on a wet patch and went down. Now Johnson is struggling.
Yeah, and
that was not a retaliation play. That was a slip.
It was not. He lost his footing.
And they're going to call that a 3-point play, and Johnson will go to the line to try and complete it in a moment, maybe, or he may have to come out of the game.
It's been a tough battle out there on this basketball court tonight. I'll tell you, these guys are going at it, and they are not, nothing's coming easy tonight.
Harper picks up his second foul. Johnson's going to have to leave the game.
I'll tell you what, Johnson has played an excellent second half for the Cougars, and they can't afford for him to go out of the game for a very long period of time because he's been that spark here in the second half.
Checking in for Northview is Brandon Ward. And they are holding Justin Johnson's elbow and wrist and walking him out of the gym. That's not a good sign.
That's definitely not a good sign.
10 points for him in the third before he leaves with injury, and Ward to the line for the free throw, which he does not make. But look at this. Xavier Gibson with the offensive board and the putback. It's a 4-point game. 40-36. Northview has turned it completely around. And now we have another turnover against Dothan High. Wheels are coming off, Mitt.
Yeah, Dothan High has allowed Northview to take control of this game. Dothan High came out playing aggressive. They've come out this second half. They're not playing with the intensity that they played with in the first half. So Julius Harper is going to have to step up, exert that senior leadership again to get the Tigers back on track.
Could be as much as a 1-point game after this possession. Walter Cummings turns the corner. Almost turns it over, battling among 3 Tigers, and we have a jump ball, and it's going to go to Dothan High, but a good effort by Cummings to prevent the fast break basket that was going to be an easy layup on the other side by tying it up and at least changing the possession arrow after the turnover. And more full court pressure, and batted out of bounds by Cummings.
Now
Thomas was trying to kick it to the middle.
We're seeing Dothan High struggling to get the ball down court. They were called for a 10-second violation earlier in the quarter, and that time it was knocked out of bounds. So they've got to do a better job of getting the ball down court, and that time they turn it over.
And they do turn it over. Here comes Northview the other way. Floater. Off the window, and there's the big man. Xavier Gibson brings the crowd to its feet with the play of the game. And Dothan High desperately needs something to go their way. Harper has it. This place is going crazy after Gibson's follow dunk. Brinson then draws a foul against Cummings.
Wow.
No bucket, but wow, what a play.
I tell you what, that time Gibson went up high and slammed that one through. And just as the ball went through the net, the whole gym stood up.
And I'll tell you, Rodney Kennedy on that play did not miss a shot. He intentionally banked that off of the backboard for Gibson to finish, and it gets the crowd fired up in a way they have not been all game long. Dothan High has seen a lead that was 20 at one point dwindle to 2. Harper in the corner. They're trying to find Brinson down low. It's not there. Harper defended by Gibson. A charge on Harper. What a difference-making call. His third. He can't believe it.
Yeah, I know. He pushed away with his hand, but, it was...
But what about a center stepping out to defend a point guard? That's how much Xavier Gibson means to this Northview team.
Well, see, Northview is playing a lot more aggressive defense this second half. Like I said, the first half, they were just kind of laid back, but they've come out this second half thanks to the play of Justin Johnson. Brandon got this offense going.
Brandon Ward turns it over, and now we have a block called on Rodney Kennedy. And I'll tell you, the difference in the basketball game for Northview, if this comeback falls short, is Justin Johnson going out, because Ward just does not offer you what Johnson does.
Right, and Johnson is out now. He was injured on a play a little while ago, and he walked out with the doctor, so I don't know how serious the injury is, but he's not in the game right now.
Janae Perry with a floater that won't go. Lorenzo Thomas blocked by Gibson, and now we're going to have a goaltend. They're going to call a goaltend on Xavier Gibson. That was really close. That was a razor-thin call. Probably the right call, but very close.
But I tell you what, Gibson is making his presence known here in the second half. He was quiet in the first, but he's been loud this second half.
So Northview with the basketball. They're down 4, and now we have a whistle and a foul away from the basketball coming against Jarrell Thomas.
Who made that?
This has been a tale of two halves.
Who was that last basket credited to?
That'll go to Lorenzo Thomas.
Thomas, okay. 4-point game, 2:54 left in the third, 42-38. Dothan leading Northview.
Trying to get it out to the top, and Rodney Kennedy has it. Kennedy to the wing for Ward. He zips the ball into Gibson, who will immediately give it back up. Kennedy into Abbott, who's got really good position. Blocked by Brinson. He has been huge. Now a turnover, and they have numbers. Gibson. Ball is loose. Out to the wing. One blocked away by Perry. Out on the run. Janae Perry blocked the other way. What a series of blocks on both sides. Dothan High by 4.
Unbelievable efforts by both teams. I mean, just outstanding hustle on both ends of the court. I don't know what to say. It's just incredible.
Just when you think you've seen it all, you see that. Thomas wide open for 3. Short. Ball's tipped around and goes to Harper. Harper to the top.
Harper's been a little quiet this second half. He's got to get involved in this game if Dothan High is going to win. And that time he
turns it over. Rodney Kennedy drops it out and gives it back. Thomas behind the back dribble. Another behind the back dribble. Ball is loose and he calls a timeout. Dothan High will retain possession on a back and forth series of possessions. The most fantastic series of possessions with no shots you'll probably ever see.
I tell you what, it was just unbelievable. And it all boiled down to effort. Effort. Both teams wanting to win this game, and they're out there giving it everything they have to give, plus some, to try to give that team an advantage.
This may end up being one of the classic Dothan Northview games, the way it's being played right now. You've seen hustle on both ends, big plays, a big comeback. It's been unbelievable. Right now, 42-38, Dothan High, 2 minutes to go in the third.
And we keep talking about these classic matchups between Dothan High and Northview. We talked about a couple of years ago when Ken James hit a three-pointer to tie the score to force the game in overtime. That's kind of a typical what you expect when these two teams meet.
So Dothan High will have the basketball. They lead by 4. They have Jarrell Thomas, Julius Harper, Lorenzo Thomas, Dennis Brinson, and Janae Perry. The Cougars were down 20. They cut it to 2, and now they're down 4. Brinson defended out high by Gibson. Now it's Harper over to the wing for Perry. They try a backdoor cut. It's not there. Thomas, little jab move to get some room and gives it up to Brinson at the top. Brinson will fire for 3. It won't go. It's tipped around. Gibson was all alone, but they couldn't get it to him out high. And so Northview will come the other way and try and set it up. Kennedy to Ward, back to Kennedy. And he's at the top of the key. Down low to Abbott. Abbott creates some space. Wild shot won't go, and it's Brinson with the rebound, and then he throws it out of bounds. And instead they're going to call a foul, I believe, on Michael Abbott.
What you thought that was a sheer hustle by Brinson.
And that will go against Abbott, and that is his third. I'll tell you one of the differences in the game, Mitt, for Northview. They are down. But the fact that Xavier Gibson has stayed out of foul trouble and another turnover, a backcourt violation. And I don't know about that.
I don't know about that one. I don't think it was an actual backcourt violation.
Julius Harper was right on the line, but not over it. But they turn it over, and it goes back to Northview. They've got the ball. They're down by 4. Been a little while since they scored.
Just over a minute left in the third, 42-38. Dothan leading Northview.
Rodney Kennedy gives it up, and now it's Ward who tries to fit it into Abbott. Ball's tipped around. Gibson fighting for it. Abbott sliding in. Ball is loose on the floor. Still loose on the floor. Brinson falls out of bounds. And a jump ball called. It will go to Northview.
Kim, have you ever seen effort like this in a basketball game?
This has been one of the best games in a long time, without question.
The effort that these players are exerting is just unbelievable because they have that will to win. You know, they want to have those bragging rights, and they leave everything out on the floor.
And this is also a big game in the region. There's no question about it. This is a tough region every year with Opelika and Central and Auburn and Smiths who can always beat you.
Right.
So these are games you have to win.
And this region had the state champion last year.
Exactly.
So
and that's not the first time either. And we have a foul. Wow, they're going to call an offensive foul, and I don't know about that. And that's going to go against Xavier Gibson, his second, team's 5th. Rashad Bryant back. You may see Xavier Gibson come out of the ball game for a minute here. It looks like, nope. I thought maybe they'd run in Austin Hafner and give Gibson just a minute plus the break after the quarter. Instead, they put on the full court press. They kick it out wide, and it's a turnover. Ward throws it long for Cummings. Cummings nearly travels. Gets it out to Kennedy, who thought about dribbling in to try and score, and then he turns it over. And they got a bunch of folks alone. Lorenzo Thomas lays it in.
Big basket by Lorenzo Thomas. The last time he was on a fast break, he got his feet taken from under him, but it didn't stop him. This time he went up with a lot of courage. Hey, I'll do it again.
And another turnover. Last shot of the quarter will go to Dothan High. And they get it to Julius Harper at the top, and he'll look to take it. Harper actually gives it up. A little bit of a surprise. Now he gets it back. Clock winding down. Harper creates. Oh, then it glides in for 2, and that'll do it for the quarter. Actually, a shot gets away, but it's not good. And Julius Harper breaks it down and makes the big play. 46-38 Dothan as we go to the 4th. We'll be back in a moment. Welcome back to Northview. Welcome back to Northview. We begin the fourth quarter, and it has been a fantastic basketball game tonight. Dothan High jumped out to an 8-0 lead, led as much as 15-2, 36-16. Northview came all the way back to make it a 40-38 deficit, and now they trail 46-38 as we begin the fourth quarter. Northview way down, back in it, now down again by 8. And Dothan High will start the fourth quarter with the ball. And 4 or 5 starters from the beginning of the game on the court. Janae Perry with the basketball. He's in trouble. Turns it over. Gibson gives it up. Alley-oop look, and he cannot finish. Third alley-oop that they have not been able to complete tonight. Here comes Brinson. Gets it down to Harper. Blocked away. Michael Abbott with the big play. And here comes Rodney Kennedy.
I'll tell you what, if he had slammed that ball a minute ago, it would have been all over.
And Julius Harper with another fantastic defensive play.
So Harper has come out playing the second here in the fourth period like he started the game off. Playing very aggressive on defense.
Brinson misses. Thought he was fouled. Here comes Kennedy. And another turnover. Janae Perry. Blocked away by Abbott. Abbott with it. And he gets it up to Kennedy. Kennedy for 3. Got it! What a shot by Kennedy! His second 3 of the game is 46-41. Back and forth action. It's been a fantastic ball game. Here comes Harper. A little bit of a head of steam. Maybe thought about a 3 on the bounce. He'll give it up. 46-41, Dothan High. 6:30 to go in regulation. Thomas for 3. Won't go down. Kennedy with the board. Kennedy on the push. And now he'll back it out to Brandon Ward. Ward over to Cummings. Back to Ward at the top. Ward drives to Xavier Gibson, who cannot handle it, and it's tipped out of bounds by Dothan. It will remain Northview's ball. 6:14 to go in regulation. Dothan High by 5. Northview with the ball. And Kenny Reese going to come back in, replacing Jarrell Thomas. Next foul by Dothan High will put Northview in the bonus. Possession arrow is going Northview's way, and the Cougars will take a 30-second timeout, I think, just to try and keep a little bit of juice left in the tank, because these teams have to be drained after what has been an unbelievably high-octane matchup tonight.
I tell you, it really has, Kim. These teams have been laying it all on the line tonight. They have hustled. They have gone for every loose ball. They've been banging the boards. It's been a physical game, but these guys want to win. Both teams want to win, and it's going to come down to probably who has the ball last.
No question about it. Right now, Dothan High does have a 5-point cushion. Northview won the junior varsity boys tonight. Dothan High responded by winning the girls game, and they lead the boys game now by 5 with 6:14 to play in regulation. Cougars with the basketball. Walter Cummings to inbound. He gets it to Michael Abbott. Abbott drives. Jumper. Won't go. Battle for the rebound. That won't go Northview's way either, as Julius Harper comes away with it and will slow things down with 6 minutes to go in regulation. Tigers by 5. Janae Perry with it. Perry trying to set up the offense. Cummings closing the distance. Perry breaks him down, gets it to Brinson, defended by Ward, who bats it away and then is called for the foul.
Five-point lead for Dothan with 5:46 left in the fourth. 46-41.
Lorenzo Thomas to bring it out for the Tigers. And he will get it to Janae Perry. And now another foul on Northview. It's going to be a 1-and-1. And boy, a couple of needless fouls, over-aggressive plays.
Yeah, and especially as Dothan has been shooting for the foul line, it could make a big difference in this game.
Janae Perry is 2 of 2 at the line. This is a 1-and-1. Perry makes the first. They've been almost flawless from the line tonight. Second one goes as well. Cummings with the basketball over to Kennedy. Back to Cummings. Brandon Ward working because there's no Justin Johnson. He left the game with an injury, and Ward for about the 5th time turns it over. Perry glides in, misses. Lorenzo Thomas put back, that won't go. Still tipped around, up, still won't go down. Loose ball, and then a foul. Dennis Brinson will go to the line for 2.
Wow, outstanding effort on Dothan High's part, keeping that ball alive. And
they must have nobody else they can put in. Brandon Ward's a young player. He'll be better, but he is killing them right now. He's turned it over at least 6 times in the last 3 minutes just by himself. He's not even being double-teamed. He's just giving the ball up, and he's killing his team right now, but they just have nobody else they can go to with Johnson out.
Yeah, and I think Johnson's injury has really hurt the team because he got this team motivated and started in the second half, and now they're without his services, and it's making a difference in this game.
He scored 10 in the third before he left. Brinson misses them both. Wow. And Northview trying to slow it down. Cummings gets it to Gibson, who is there and makes the big play. 3-point opportunity. And Xavier Gibson makes a huge play for the Cougars.
That was a good, strong, aggressive move that time by Gibson. He just kept taking it to the basket, put it up, and he was unstoppable.
So Gibson, who's 0 of 2 at the line tonight, shooting a big one right here. Chance to cut it to 4 with 5:06 to play. And he cannot, but Abbott battling for the board and tips it out to Kennedy. Kennedy now takes a 3. Won't go down. And Northview trying to get back on defense. Kenny Reese, what a play, up and in for 2.
Good look that time by the Tigers to get the ball on the fast break down to Reese for the basket.
Walter Cummings over to Ward. Ward into Abbott, who makes a strong move to the basket for 2.
That time Abbott went in strong and used his height and power to put the ball in.
50-45 Dothan with 4:25 to play. Brinson just got Gibson out of position and glides to the rack for 2 more. Dennis Brinson continues to be big. Cummings with it. Gibson finds Ward down inside for 2. The big man with a big pass. Ward's first points. It's 5 points again. Dothan High in the lead, 52-47. 4 minutes flat to go in regulation.
That was an outstanding pass from the big man to hit Ward down low for the basket.
Janae Perry thought about a long 3, will pass on it. Northview trying to close that distance defensively. Brinson by Abbott defended. Now it's Reese. They'll give him that all day. Lorenzo Thomas, long jumper, won't go. Harper hangs, can't hit. Northview basketball. They come out on the run. Kennedy to Ward, back to Kennedy. He'll take a 3, and it won't go down. And Harper with the rebound. And then we have a trouble on Harper, and he doesn't like it a bit. .326 to play. Dothan by 5. Northview with the ball. Both teams in the bonus. It has been a high-energy game. We've seen big plays, but Dothan has never trailed. From the opening tip, they've led.
They've led the entire game, so Northview's been battling uphill all night.
And Brandon Ward finds Xavier Gibson, who gets position. It's a 3-point game. Second closest it's been. They had it to 2 once. They have it to 3 now, but Dothan has the ball with 3:10 to go. Brinson at the wing, down low, tipped out to Thomas. Thomas, cross-court pass, almost turned over. Blocked by Gibson. Kenny Reese had it rejected.
That time, Gibson did a great job of anticipating, and he dared him to come in there, and he took it in, and he slapped it out of there.
About the 5th block for Xavier Gibson. He has 16 points, about 10 rebounds, about 6 blocks. He's been as good as advertised.
Oh, yes, he's definitely come a long way. You know, last year he was young and inexperienced, but, you know, this year with that experience, getting to play a lot last year, he's come out tonight. First half a little slow, second half outstanding game.
I'll tell you, one of the big differences for Dothan High as they've watched this lead evaporate is Julius Harper. Nowhere to be found. 2 points. He's got 1 or 2 steals and 1 or 2 boards, but he has been almost non-existent. They've taken him away and closed the gap in the interim.
So Northview's done exactly what they needed to do, is change the tempo of the game. Get Harper under control because he was hurting them in the first half. And now they have things settled down. They can go start using their big men to try to get some points on the board.
Xavier Gibson and Michael Abbott have been huge. One of the biggest players for Northview is not in the gym anymore. Justin Johnson had to leave the game with an arm injury. And they have missed his presence, although Brandon Ward has made a couple of plays over the last few series. Brinson out high. It's Lorenzo Thomas, defended by Ward. Hanging Abbott with the block. Here comes Kennedy. Abbott fouled, and it goes. They don't blow the whistle on the foul, but Abbott makes the bucket. It's a 1-point game. It has not been this close tonight. 2:25 to go. 52-51 Dothan.
That was a big play. Big play.
Brinson being defended by Gibson. And we have a hand check foul. And then Brinson with a monstrous dunk that won't count. Gibson with the hand check, his third. Brinson going to the line for the 1-and-1.
Well, I'll tell you what, if that one would have counted.
Yeah, the roof would have blown off.
I'll tell you what, it definitely would have.
Well, you know he can dunk now. If you have any questions, now you know he can dunk.
Oh, yeah, he elevated that time.
Brinson to the line for the 1-and-1. He missed his last 2 free throws. This place is electric and is loud. And he makes the first.
That's a big free throw. It puts the Tigers up by 2.
2:11 to go. A 2-point Tiger lead. Brinson again. Made them both. Well done. 54-51. Tigers by 3. They have never trailed. In the corner. Gibson for 3. Long. Abbott fighting for the rebound. It's a jump ball. It will stay with the Cougars.
You got to give number 33, Thomas, credit for not allowing Abbott to get that rebound.
Interesting decision by Xavier Gibson. Long pass, and it's Rodney Kennedy. Under 2 minutes to play. Kennedy to Cummings. And we have a foul down low. That on Janae Perry. Gibson to the line for a 1-and-1. On Perry, that's number 3. Gibson is 0 of 3 at the line, and they got to have these.
Under 2 minutes, 1:53 left in the fourth. 54-51, Dothan leading Northview.
And Gibson picks the right time to make his first free throw of the night. If he makes the second, it's back to a 1-point game. Gibson again. Won't go down. Thomas with the rebound.
Big rebound that time by Thomas.
54-52, Dothan High. Lorenzo Thomas, not a lot of points tonight, but some big boards. Brinson drives, lays it up, won't go. Brinson with his own rebound, pulls it out. Top of the key. And now it's Janae Perry. Over to Julius Harper. Harper backs it out. His team leads by 2. Over to Perry. They may have to foul. They may not take a shot. They may try and run this out. Brinson with it. Over to Thomas. Gibson almost forced a turnover. They're trying to extend the defense. And now we have a foul on Gibson. His 4th. And Thomas to the line for 2.
I'll tell you,
if you're going to foul, again, it can't be Gibson. If they lose him, they cannot win this game.
Thomas at the line for
Lorenzo's 2 of 2 tonight. If he goes 2 of 2 here, it could be over. First one on the way. And it does not go down.
tough shot there for Thomas.
Thomas again. And he needs to make this one to make it a 3-point game. A lot of time left with 1:08. He makes the second. 55-52. Walter Cummings has some room. Cummings turns it over. Dothan High has a 4-on-1, 5-on-1, and Thomas lays it in.
Lorenzo Thomas comes up big.
And the big mistake. Kennedy banks in the 3. Kennedy banked in a 3. It's a 2-point game. Unbelievable. Gibson cannot be the one to foul, and I think they have to about now. Ward with the turnover. Ward for the tie. It's tied at 57. Brandon Ward, a steal and a bucket. Dothan High with it. Brinson pushes, almost turns it over. Abbott commits the foul. He's gone. Xavier Gibson, has committed the foul and fouled out of this basketball game. It's tied at 57 with less than 22 seconds to play.
What a finish. What a finish. You know, we talked about how some of these games have ended in the past. This was no different.
And so at the line is Jarrell Thomas. He has 2 points. He is 0 of 1 from the line. This will be a 2-shot foul to take the lead. Xavier Gibson has fouled out of the basketball game. All he can do now is watch. And he is their best player.
Incredible.
Xavier Gibson played a fantastic basketball game. After a quiet start, he put together a monster effort with 17 points, 10 rebounds, and 7 blocks. But he's done. And now it rests on Jarrell Thomas. Obviously not the guy Dothan High wants at the line.
I tell you, it's I feel like I've been out on the court.
This has been an unbelievable game for adrenaline.
Oh, man.
Both teams have played at such a high level. This has been everything you expect Dothan and Northview to be, and it comes down to the last 30 seconds of regulation. And this place gets louder and louder as Jarrell Thomas squares, shoots, and does not make it. And now Northview takes a timeout to try and ice him.
Boy,
that's about the loneliest spot to be where Jarrell Thomas is right now.
I'll tell you what, it's not a place a lot of players want to be. They want to be the one standing there looking at the other player shooting.
Well, you know what Gene Hackman said in Hoosiers? After you make the second free throw, Ollie, and you will make the second free throw, get back on defense. That right now is what Coach Goodson is saying.
It's
to Jarrell Thomas, who was at the line with a chance to give his team the lead.
Okay, let's set things up for you. 57-57, Northview and Dothan. 21.6 seconds left. And at the line for Northview, for Dothan High, is number 33.
Jarrell Thomas at the line. Jarrell Thomas at the line. Possession arrow goes with Dothan High. Thomas has missed the first free throw. We're tied at 57 with 21.6 seconds to go. If he misses, the battle for the rebound should be interesting with Xavier Gibson out of this game. Austin Hafner is down on the block, and now they move. Hafner and Abbott trade places, and Jarrell Thomas can be a hero if he can make a free throw right now. Brandon Ward and Janae Perry drop deep. Thomas, biggest free throw of his young career, and he makes it. He knocks it down. 58-57. The lead goes to Dothan High. And Northview, Cummings, will break the press and gets it to Ward, to Kennedy. He's got room. Kennedy driving. Off the window it goes. Off the window it goes. Brinson brings it up court. Gets it to Janae Perry. Perry found in the act of shooting a 3. Janae Perry
shooting a three, is fouled to the line for 3 free throws. Can you believe this? Unbelievable.
Unbelievable. This has to be one of the most exciting games I've seen in a long time. And what a great way to start our broadcast this year.
Wow. All right, 4.6 seconds to go. Janae Perry's going to get 3 of them. He is 3 of 4, excuse me. He is 4 of 4 at the line tonight. He can give his team as much as a 2-point lead if he made them all. Northview's crowd making a bunch of racket. And he missed the first. Rodney Kennedy drove down and got a layup with 11 seconds to go to give Northview a 1-point lead, 59-58. Janae Perry has just tied it at 59. And this place is rocking. If he makes this, Dothan High leads by a point. It's on the way. It's good. And we have a timeout by Northview. And they should not run any time off the clock. They're going to have to wind that back to 4.6.
Wow. Wow. A 1-point lead. Dothan up 60-59 with 2.6 seconds left.
So this clock should go back to 4.6 seconds. I would be shocked if they didn't reset the time. Dothan clearly took a timeout.
Yeah.
And they're not talking clock. I don't think they're going to put any time back on this clock. Dothan High leads 60-59 with less than 3 seconds to play. Northview's going to have time for an inbound pass, maybe a dribble, and then some sort of shot.
I think they may be putting time back on the clock, Ken.
They should be putting time back on the clock. It was at 4.6 after the free throw, and if they called the timeout immediately, no time should run off. In this case, it's probably got to be Rodney Kennedy.
I think they're trying to put time back on the clock.
They're actually going to have to run it down.
Yeah, okay.
4.6 seconds is where they'll stop it.
A lot of tension here in this gymnasium. I tell you what, you can count on one hand the number of people that are seated. The crowd.
So they roll the clock down to 4.6. Here's what we see. Dothan leads Northview 60-59 here at Northview. It's been an unbelievable game. Dothan led by as many as 20. Northview did not have the lead until 11 seconds left in the game on a Rodney Kennedy layup. Then
he stole the ball, wasn't it?
Brandon Ward tied the game. And then Kennedy's free layup gave them the 1-point lead. They're about ready to get the clock set. It's going to be time for some sort of long pass. Northview's best player, Xavier Gibson, is fouled out. And now we're going to have to do it again. They got the clock wrong. They're going to have to do it again.
They can take a breath and then start it.
That may be what they're going to do. They're calling the coaches over. And Terry Goodson says, I don't think so. You're going to run it again.
I'd hate to be the clock operator right about now. Everybody's staring down her neck.
Yeah. Dothan High trailed 59-58 with 11 seconds to go. And then Janae Perry drove to the right wing and tried to elevate for a three. He was fouled by a number of Northview players. And Northview's taking a timeout. They want to set this up. One of two things has to happen. They've got to catch quickly, make a pass for an open look, or catch around midcourt, dribble, and fire. I would figure you're going to see Rodney Kennedy or Abbott in this situation as one of the two guys who takes the key shot.
It's going to be definitely it's going to be.
Kennedy showed his range earlier, banking in about a 25-footer, and then he hit the layup that put them ahead. He's had a fantastic second half, as did Gibson before he fouled out, as did Justin Johnson before he left with injury, as did Michael Abbott, and he's still in the game.
Well, like I told you when this game started, Kim, I said this one will go down to the wire.
And it could be a buzzer beater we're about to see, Mitt. 4.5 to go. Watch for a foul here. That's something else to watch. Northview could try and draw a foul. They'd be in the 1-and-1 unless it was a shooting foul. Dothan has a foul to give, although they don't really want a foul here because it would give Northview a chance to win at the line. Hafner to Kennedy. Lets it go for the win. Will not go down. It banks off high, and Dothan High has come to Northview and won 60-59. What a ball game.
I tell you, it came very close to going into overtime.
Rodney Kennedy drove to the top of the three-point arc and let go a pretty good-looking shot that just banked off high.
I tell you, I think two things that I think made a difference in this game. Number one, Northview had a deep hole to dig out of, so they had to fight uphill all night. Number two, and maybe the number one reason, Justin Johnson being injured and out of the game, because Johnson had come out in the second half and had just sparked this team, was playing outstanding. He went in for a layup, and Harper went in to try and stop him, and he fell and he was injured, and they had to take him out of the gym, so we don't know of his status.
Hopefully we'll see Justin Johnson play again this year. But an unbelievable basketball game that is won at the free throw line. Janae Perry making 2 of 3 free throws with 4.5 seconds to go that put his team up 60-59. And you can hear the Our House chant behind us from the Dothan High fans, but it was a tremendous effort from both teams. Down 20, Northview battled back to take the lead, Mitt.
Yeah, it was. It was just, you cannot say enough about the effort both of these teams made. I mean, it was like a 12-round boxing match, punch for punch here in the later rounds, you know.
This was a judge's decision. This was not a TKO. This went to the scorecard because it was a fantastic ball game, and what a way to start our year here on Scenic with a 60-59 thriller at Northview.
I tell you what, it was like two heavyweights toe-to-toe in that fourth period, and I tell you, it could have gone either way.
Fantastic ball game tonight. Once again, Northview wins the JV boys. Dothan High wins the varsity girls. And nearly at the buzzer, a fantastic finish. Dothan High wins the varsity boys game tonight, 60-59. For Mitt Kirkland, I'm Kim Allen. Once again, our final score.
It was 60-59, and thanks to our cameraman, Don Everhart, on camera.